个好人是什么感受？便是觉着这世间无一不好，无一不善内心，坦坦荡荡，无所愧疚，生来欢喜，死亦无愧。
West resident, you really want to watch this video and watch it till the end. There's a very important matter I wish to bring to your attention. For the rest of Singapore, you might want to pay attention too. When I first visited Sembawang West, what struck me was, compared to Bukit Batok, the estate seemed rather, shall we say, compact. And then when I went to distribute flyers on Sunday, I felt this very distinct feeling of being hemmed in. Now, the row of flats opposite from where one stood was very close, literally a stone's throw away. Now, standing along the corridor, you could look right into the living room of the flat of the opposite block. And the blocks were typically G-shaped, with what was a small square in the middle. A block after block after block of flats were packed into a tiny piece of real estate. There were, of course, footpaths and walkways, but there was hardly any open space in between them, unlike those in older estates like Bukit Batok. And what sprang to mind was this: where do children go to play and romp around? Where do the elderly congregate for some gotong royong? Where do residents go to for some downtime and relaxation? Sure, there's a tiny strip called the Green Circle Park in the middle of the estate. But in a sea of blocks of flats, the strip is like a small piece of onion in a big burger bun. And then I began my house visits on Monday evening. And lo and behold, a resident in block 718 told me, unprompted, that there was hardly any open green space and playgrounds for his children. He asked me to raise the matter. I promised that I would, and so here we are. To me, it is the saddest thought that our children are deprived of open spaces to do what children ought to do: ride bicycles, kick a ball, climb trees, fall down and scrape their knees, get up and do it all over again. We cannot hope to bring up a generation of healthy men and women if we pack our kids into overcrowded concrete jungles without healthy amounts of space. Now, you don't need to be an MP there for 5 years to notice that Sembawang West lacked green, open spaces and playgrounds. If an MP truly cared about the well-being of his residents, he would have noticed the matter and asked the government what could be done to rectify it. As it is, Singaporeans are suffering immensely from mental health issues. Half of Singaporeans report feeling depressed to the point that they felt hopeless almost every day for weeks at a time. 27% have seriously considered suicide or self-hurt at least once in the past year. 1 in 3 younger Singaporeans face severe symptoms of depression, anxiety, or stress. Are these numbers scary enough for the MP to sit up and pay attention? Now, studies have shown repeatedly that overcrowded conditions where people are packed into small areas without open green spaces results in a deterioration of mental health. The problem is that mental health remains a stigma, and many Singaporeans don't want to bring up the matter, choosing instead to suffer in silence. This is why an MP must pay close attention, recognize the problem, and take steps to rectify it. So really, what can we do about it? Well, my initial thought is that we could identify an area within the constituency and earmark it for redevelopment into a wooded area where residents can enjoy a Sunday afternoon out, children can enjoy the outdoors, and akongs and amas can take leisurely strolls. The government could exercise the Selective En-bloc Redevelopment Scheme, or SERS as we call it, get the residents' approval, and convert the area into an expansive green oasis. Now, to this end, I've written to Minister for National Development, Desmond Lee, asking to meet him to see what could be done. I've also notified Mr. Ong Ye Kung of my idea. Now, I'd be happy to sit with Messrs. Lee and Ong to see what can be done to address the problem. Keeping silent and ignoring the problem is not an option. And here's the nub of the matter. Ministers like K. Shanmugam, Vivian Balakrishnan, and Tan Si Ling live in luxurious government-owned good-class bungalows. Mr. Shanmugam's mansion lies in the midst of a mini forest with a total land area of 23,000 square meters. All this space used by a single solitary family. In contrast, that open square area below each block in Sembawang West is at most about 1,500 square meters, shared by more than 100 households. It wouldn't be too much to ask that residents be afforded more green, open space to live as ministers do, now would it? Now, Mr. Lawrence Wong now calls for unity and for Singaporeans to back his government in this election. You cannot design the system so that Singaporeans live in one world and ministers live in another, and then ask the people to stand united with you. This kind of propaganda cannot work. Not anymore. Not in this day and age where social media allows the matter to be exposed. Now, here's another thing. Mr. Ong Ye Kung announced that Sembawang will find space to house more than 100 horses from the former Turf City. Now, this is a brilliant idea, and I support it wholeheartedly and unequivocally. But here's my question. If you can find space for horses, why can't you find space for Sembawang West residents to live well-balanced, healthy lives? I'd like to present the SDP's proposal to residents through a town hall. In fact, I've had several residents expressing interest in meeting me and wanting to know my plans for Sembawang West should I win the seat. To this end, I've written to the Sembawang Town Council and asked to reserve a common space somewhere in the constituency, avoid that, for me to conduct this town hall. I've also written to the Galaxy Community Club, which Mr. Ong recently and quite controversially announced that he would assign to Sembawang West SMC. Now, this being the case, I would assume he would have no problem in letting Sembawang West residents use the CC to discuss the SDP's plans for the constituency. Now, this would only be in the interest of the residents, which I assume Mr. Ong cares about. So I'll be waiting for a response from Minister Desmond Lee, Minister Ong Ye Kung, and Galaxy CC. As soon as I hear from them, I will alert residents through this platform. So follow me and I'll keep you updated. Let your family and neighbors know about what I'm doing and ask them to do the same. In Bukit Batok, I ran this program called My Cake, Your Coffee, where I visited residents in their homes on weekends. You make me a cup of coffee, and I'll bring along the most scrumptious cakes, and we'll sit and have a wonderful afternoon chatting away. You can ask me anything. I'd like to start that in Sembawang West too. If you feel up to it, drop me a note, and I'd be happy to come by and pay you a visit. And two more things. The first is that this Sunday, 30th March, the SDP will be conducting our Lifting You Up program at 888 Plaza from 10 a.m. to noon, where we will distribute food rations for folks who are finding it hard to cope with the cost of living. This is open to residents from Marsiling UT, Sembawang, and Sembawang West. But even if you don't need the rations, come by anyway, and let's have breakfast. I'd love to meet up with you. The second matter is an appeal to help me raise funds for the campaign by registering for the buffet at Orange and Teal. It starts on the 1st of April and runs right through to 9th April. It's $100 per person. Go to orangeandteal.sg and book your seats. Please support my campaign as I work to win the seat at Sembawang West. I thank you in anticipation. So, take care everyone. My best wishes to you and your loved ones. Let's gear up for the elections. Here we go. Bye-bye.